Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm just going to let people into the Zoom meeting. Right, I think we have everybody in. So good morning. Welcome to the Capstone presentations. Today's Capstone presentations are focused on mental health awareness. We're going to start with Beesley's presentation. She's going to be guiding us through her presentation this morning. So I'm going to turn it over to her, and thanks everybody for joining.
I'm unable to share the screen.
We should be good now.
Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Ella Beesley, and I'll be presenting my capstone today called The Happiness Project. In my project, I interviewed people, I looked at articles, books, and TED Talks, and I looked at different religions and their guide to happiness and how I can use it for myself. So in the beginning of my project, I remember wanting to have more stuff and doing more stuff. But after Christmas, even having a lot of stuff and doing a lot of stuff, I noticed that I wasn't fully happy. So I had to ask myself, how do I become happier? So I'm going to ask the chat, how do you guys take steps to become happier?
Beesley, can you just put your camera on?
Oh, yeah,
You
sure.
get turned off when you shared your screen.
Wait, how do...
Maybe just uncheck stop video.
Okay. So I started with sleep. An extra hour of sleep allows someone to be happier than a $60,000 pay raise. So why does this happen? Well, the first reason is that we're unable to control our emotional responses. This is due to the amygdala because they're not able to fully function because if we get a lack of sleep. And the amygdala really controls our emotional responses. Additionally, the prefrontal cortex is not able to fully function. The prefrontal cortex allows us to control our impulses, and when we don't have a full amount of sleep, we're not able to control this. Lastly, hormone disruption. So when we have a lack of sleep, we have a chemical imbalance in our brain. This chemical imbalance creates us not to function properly. One of these chemicals is hormones. Hormones affect appetite, weight, height, mood, basically how we function. So when we have a lack of sleep, we're not able to function properly. So how do we make these changes? The first one is having a schedule. This is really important into knowing when your body is tired and when to wake up. Finding ways to wind down. This could be showering, meditating, journaling, reading, just finding ways to wind down. And the most important part of this is putting away electronic devices for an hour before you sleep. This is one of the hardest ones, I think, for all of us because we want to just look at Instagram for another 10 minutes or look at TV or do something with our phone. But putting away allows us to dream more. So why does dreaming matter? It matters because we're able to improve the ability to read other facial emotions. Additionally, we're able to improve the ability to problem solve, and we gain creativity. A study done in Rutgers in 2010 found that people that were able to dream due to REM sleep were able to become more creative when problems arise. And last one, respond to emotional stress in a healthier way. People that are able to dream and have nightmares are able to respond to this emotional stress in the morning, which helps them throughout stress throughout the entire day. Organizing. So how many of you guys have stuff in your room that you don't really use or clothes you have never worn or haven't worn in years? This is a struggle that we all have. 80% of what we keep, we never use. So I decided that the best way to organize is the Marie Kondo way. Create a deadline quickly and completely. based on category. So rather than doing it on location, do it on a category such as clothes or books, and then putting that category in front of you, seeing all the books you have in your house and seeing, I need to get rid of this stuff because I don't need all of this. So Marie Kondo's most important step is touching the item and asking, does it spark joy? This is really important in taking steps to see, I have an emotional attachment to it and a memory containing this, but I don't need this in order to remember the memory. Lastly, I remember getting really stressed out with this organizing time and space, but Marie Kondo pointed out that you have to look at the things that you're keeping rather than throwing out, because then you're going to think of all the negative things that you're taking away. How often do you guys clean your room? Cleaning your room once a week allows for us to have a better night's rest, because when you're cleaning your sheets and making your bed, you're able to sleep better. Additionally, it reduces stress and depressive symptoms. And the last one is it reduces fatigue and improves concentration. Let me go more into that. It's clear when we have a messy room, our mind is going 1,000 different ways because of all of the clutter in our room. But when we have not a lot of clutter in our room, it allows us to not have a lot of things going around in our mind. The last one is organizing time. Using a planner, it increases responsibility and allows us to track our achievements. Oftentimes, we do not take a step to notice all of the personal steps that we have taken throughout the day. We just think of more stuff that we have to do. But when we see all of the homework that we've done, all the events that we have done in that day, it really allows us to take a moment of gratitude. Now, this was one of the hardest things for me, saying no. Oftentimes, humans, we say yes to doing a lot of things, but then we become stressed. When we have a planner and we're able to organize our time, we're able to say no to new events. Benefits to organizing time: increased energy. We're able to focus on big assignments this way because our mind isn't going into the 1,000 different things that we have to do for a big project. We're looking at the small things that we have to do in that specific amount of time. Additionally, less stress. When we're organizing our time, we have less stress because we're able to think in what we have to do that day rather than the entire week. Deleting social media. So I remember spending hours on social media, and I'm sure that many people do this as well. So I deleted Instagram and TikTok, and I found that I had less stress. I became less self-conscious, and I just had more time to sleep, communicate with friends, and homework. Now, I'm going to be honest, a couple days ago, I did get Instagram back, thinking that I was able to limit myself and have the ability to control the amount of stress, but I wasn't able to do that. So I deleted it again. Deleting social media allows for your mind to have more empathy with people and allows your mind to really settle down and having less stress. So complimenting someone every day allows for a better atmosphere around people. Additionally, it shifts your energy and supports your nervous system. And the last one is there's a strong connection between compassion and the vagus nerve, and this helps with inflammation in the body and blood pressure. So it's kind of ironic that I'm talking about the Happiness Project, but I'm telling you to cry. But this is extremely important in knowing the emotional equilibrium. Additionally, it improves mood. And a study found by Yale showed that it helps self-soothe because you're getting all these emotions out rather than keeping them in. Eating more fruits. So why does eating fruit really impact our happiness? Well, I ate 3 fruits a day, and the first fruit that I ate was bananas. Bananas have this chemical called tryptophan, which helps regulate mood. It also has a vitamin, the B vitamin, which is linked to depression if you have low levels of this. Additionally, apples allows you to calm, and it creates more energy and increases overall happiness. And tangerine, it prevents nausea and depression, and it improves concentration. Usually when I got home, I went to junk food, but when you stop and you pick a healthier option like fruit, it allows your body to feel better, and it helps you mentally. Still being able to eat junk food, but first taking a step to eat fruits if you are hungry. Now I'm going to go into the 5 major religions and their guide to happiness and how you can use this in your daily life. First, I'll be going into Hinduism. Happiness is a natural consequence of inner transformation and self-purification. So what does that really mean? I'm going to go into the 3 gunas and describe what each of these mean. Sattvic happiness. This is spiritual happiness. Basically, having mental purity and the ability to be close to God and finding ways to help others. Rajasic happiness. This is mental happiness. So finding a position in your life where you want to be. Tamasic happiness. This is physical happiness. Now I'll go into how you can use these 3 types of happiness in your life if you are not Hindu. The first one is doing good deeds to others can actually help yourself become happier. Create a plan for a major goal. It's one thing to have a goal, but to create a plan allows for your mind to enjoy the small steps that you have taken. And additionally, exercising and eating healthy really does help with your physical happiness. Buddhism. So 4 noble truths. I'm sure that everyone here has heard about them, but what are they specifically? The truth of suffering. So understand that you are suffering right now is the first step into getting better. The second is determining the root of suffering. So why are you feeling stressed? Third is try to liberate yourself from this stress. And the last is the path to end the suffering. Now there's 8 different paths that this is able to go. First is right understanding. Understand what is true for you. These steps may be different for each person, but try to find ways that this plan can work for you. Right intention. So making sure that you have the right attitude with people and right attitude just for life. Right speech. Making sure that you're speaking truthfully and avoiding abusive language. Right action. So making sure that you're doing lawful behavior and doing good deeds unto others. Right livelihood. Avoid exploiting animals and people. Right effort. This again goes into having a correct attitude and right effort just for life. Right mindfulness. Meditating and being aware of how you're really feeling. You can be mindful through not only meditating, but journaling, cleaning your room, just finding ways that you can find that personal peace. And lastly is right concentration, which again, you can do by cleaning your room. So meditation, why is it so important? It induces a state of deep relaxation. It allows for your body to work on your sympathetic nervous system. And lastly, it reduces anxiety, pain, and depression. Now I'm going to go do a meditation with you guys and really respect the steps that is being taken.
Welcome to this 2-minute mindfulness meditation practice. Take a moment to find a comfortable position, and then take a few deep breaths. Deep breath in, and a long, slow exhalation. Doing that a couple more times. And returning your breathing to its normal rhythm, and bringing your attention to this photo on your screen. We can use a variety of anchors to the present moment, and in this particular case, we're going to use the sense of sight as our anchor to the present. So begin by looking at this picture broadly, noticing the colors and textures, noticing places that are in greater focus and lesser focus. And then taking a moment to focus more specifically on one area of the photo, perhaps a flower, a blade of grass, the snow, and bringing your attention to that region. Really exploring that region to a greater depth. During this mindfulness practice or others, remember that it's perfectly normal for your mind to wander. You're not doing anything wrong when this happens. It is just the nature of the mind. Each and every time you notice that the mind has wandered, just begin again. In this case, come back to the photo and the sense of sight.
So just taking the first steps into becoming mindful, and it's really important that you meditate when you wake up and when you go to bed, because there's this transition in your mind from the chemical waking up and the chemical going back to bed. So how do you use the Four Noble Truths in your life? Journaling. Write how you're feeling. Figure out why you feel like this. Try to find ways to detach from the stressor, and write down steps to help. There's many benefits to journaling. The first one is lowering blood pressure and improving liver functionality. Additionally, it helps your immune system and decreases your risk of illness. Lastly, it really does boost mood. Judaism. Going to Sabbath. Being able to recharge and having a sacred day. Celebrating the week with music and hearing other people's voices is really important. And additionally, the connection with other people and being able to support one another. So gratitude is very important in taking moments before and after eating and saying this prayer. Additionally, waking up every morning, each day is a blessing, which can lead to inner joy. Cultivate happiness appropriately. So sadness is an emotion that is all right to have, and frankly, really important one to have. But it's also important to celebrate life and suffering in a way that is at the same time. So how do you use this? Find ways to recharge throughout the week. Maybe on Friday, having the ability to just really rest your mind, or hanging out with a community that you feel comfortable with. Additionally, find ways to take a moment to find ways to be grateful. So this could be before eating, after eating, when you wake up. When journaling, it's really helpful to write things that you are extremely grateful for. Find ways to balance sadness and happiness. This balance is extremely difficult, but making sure that when you're sad, think of reasons why you can be happy, and when happy, think of these steps that you took to be happy so you can use them when you're sad. Christianity. Christianity has many ways in the Bible, but these were the two most important, I believe. Find ways to not compare yourself to others. Everyone's path is different, and when you compare yourself to others, you're not seeing all of the achievements that you have done, and you're not going to be happier that way. It is better to give than to receive. So finding ways to give unto others is extremely important. You can do this by volunteering and celebrating the small steps that you have taken. In Islam. Rather than happiness being a temporary feeling, it is thought to be a lifelong process. So how do you get this lifelong process of being happy? Do not compare yourself to others. develop strong will and self-confidence, and additionally, living with patience. Many Muslims believe that Allah has given them a lot, and so we have to be grateful for the things that He has given us, and we have to be patient if we want more. Lastly, loosening the attachment with material items. So, how to use this? Have patience for others and yourself for tasks. Oftentimes, we as humans want to just go from one thing to the next. But when we take a moment to A, see all the steps that we've taken, or B, just to see what steps that we have to take to get to this next step, it's really important for our own happiness. Try to find 5 items in your room that you do not need and give them away. And practice being assertive. So oftentimes we as humans struggle with being assertive because if we are not communicating effectively, it could either go aggressively or passively. But when we're communicating assertively, we're able to have a better mental health because we're able to get this weight off of our chest. Now, I'm going to go into the most important part of this presentation, and then I'm going to ask you guys, what are steps that you take to be happier, and what are new steps that you're going to take to be happy? But first, I'm going to show this part of this presentation.
Substantially less happy when they're mind wandering than when they're not. Now you might look at this result and say, okay, sure, on average people are less happy when they're mind wandering, but surely when their minds are straying away from something that wasn't very enjoyable to begin with, at least then mind wandering should be doing something good for us. Nope. As it turns out, people are less happy when they're mind wandering no matter what they're doing. For example, people don't really like commuting to work very much. It's one of their least enjoyable activities, and yet they are substantially happier when they're focused only on their commute than when their mind is going off to something else. It's amazing. So how could this be happening? I think part of the reason, a big part of the reason, is that when our minds wander, we often think about unpleasant things, and they are enormously less happy when they do that. Our worries, our anxieties, our regrets. And yet, even when people are thinking about something neutral, they're still considerably less happy than when they're not mind wandering at all. Even when they're thinking about something they would describe as pleasant, they're actually just slightly less happy than when they aren't mind wandering.
So I'm going to ask you guys in the chat, what are new ways that you're going to find to become happier? And what are ways that you're going to find gratitude in order to become happier? You can ask the students if possible.
And teachers, if you want to come off of mute to share, that's absolutely fine. Or you can put it in the chat.
And my last question to you guys is, being in the moment is the most important part of being happy. So what are ways that you guys are going to find to be in the moment? Because it's often really difficult because as humans, we mind wander a lot.
Beesley, do you want me to read aloud some of the comments, or do you want to do that?
Oh yeah, I can do it. Ms. Conklin said mindful eating. Ms. Hall said, I'm going to try Marie Kondo. I need to purge. I hate being surrounded with so much stuff. Miss Bradley said staying in present and getting more sleep. Additionally, donating old clothes. Ms. Hudson said, I'm going to try to get that extra hour of sleep every night. Yeah, and these personal steps seem simple, but they're very difficult. So understand that this takes a long time and this takes a routine. So don't be hard on yourself if you're not taking all these steps all at once. But really, we have to make an effort more as humans to take these steps in order to become happier. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.
Nice job. Okay, we can open it up for a discussion. We have about 3 to 4 minutes until the next presentation. So the audience can ask questions or make comments in the chat, or you can come off of mute and share out loud or ask questions out loud.
I have a question for Beesley. Beesley, what was the most challenging part of your capstone project?
Definitely planning my time. Yeah.
Well, you did a great job. We were all riveted here. It was really good.
Yeah.
I'm just going to share some of the comments in the chat. Mrs. Hall said, great job. Ms. Coughlin says, we're all clapping for you. Mrs. Bradley says, excellent work. Mrs. Hall says, love starting my day this way. I totally agree. I've written down some comments here because I'm going to remember these. Ms. Marciano said, great job, Beesley. You shared a lot of useful, practical information that is easily relatable to our everyday lives.
Oh, and I have a question for the students.
Mhm.
Have you guys heard of Marie Kondo? And if so, like, have you used her organizing way?
Ms. Coughlin says yes for her class, and Mrs. Bradley says 4 in her class say yes.
Okay.
Beesley, I had a question for you.
Sure.
So a lot of my kids said that they did hear about her and they've used some of the different techniques. But we did have a question about your presentation. So in the beginning, you said you interviewed a lot of people. One of my students wanted to know, did you what kind of people did you interview? You interviewed teenagers, peers, older?
Yeah, so I interviewed my mentor, who is a rabbi for the Jewish religion. I interviewed Miss Bradley. I also interviewed people in our grade. A lot of them were not real. A lot of the people, I also interviewed Miss Conklin, and a lot of people I interviewed were not religious. So I used their ways into my first couple of slides. Additionally, I interviewed Joanna Goddard, which is like a blogger, and yeah. Also, please put in the chat if I missed anything that makes you guys happy. I would love to know any other ways I can.
Organizing makes a lot of sense. That was one that I really took home, and it makes sense. Someone once told me that if you clean your car and you organize your car, it actually makes you happier. And I went to the car wash one day and I did it, and I was like, oh, I actually do feel a lot better. And I like the idea that you said about one room at a time, because it does get overwhelming when you look at like your whole house or your whole apartment and you're like, oh my God, I got to do all this. But if you take one thing at a time, like you said, that makes a lot of sense. Really nice job, Beesley. Really impressive.
Okay, thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Beesley. Nice job. For everyone else on the call, our next presenter is Shayna Grabowski. She's going to be presenting on social media's effect on mental health. And this really is a nice segue from Beesley's presentation. So I'm just going to give her a couple minutes to get set up here, and we'll be right back on.
You don't have to.
All right, good morning, everybody. I'm sorry to keep you waiting. Our presenter is not feeling too well, so she's not able to present, but we have a backup plan. I have Miss Duggan here with me, who's from Guilford Youth and Family Services. She's our one of our school social workers, and we're going to be giving a presentation on transition planning and summer planning. She put this together alongside some of the students in the Mental Health Alliance Bring Change to Mind. So I'm going to have her play a video that the students put together, and then we're going to run through a discussion afterwards. So I apologize that the social media's presentation is not happening, but if we can get a recording, we'll send that off to everyone a little bit later. So I'm going to turn it over to Miss Duggan, who's going to share the presentation, and then we'll do a discussion afterwards.
Everyone, let me just share my screen. So it's just a quick little video about
the Alliance and what they do and what they plan to do for the futures, and just a few resources for anyone in the community. So can everyone see this? Okay, thank you. Oh, wait, I lost it. Sorry, everyone.
It's okay, take your time.
Yeah, let's see. I'm very good at this. All right, so I can play it now if we're all ready.
Hi everyone, my name's Abby. I'm an upcoming senior and I'm the co-founder and upcoming president of the GHS Mental Health Alliance. Throughout the pandemic, me, along with many of my high school peers, were struggling because of all the challenges of social isolation and the constant change due to the pandemic, along with the regular challenges that come with being a high school student, like all the academic stress and social pressures and all that stuff. So we felt like there was a real need in our community for mental health as a topic to be much less stigmatized than it is right now. So we wanted to create a group where we could have discussions surrounding mental health and cover various mental health issues and make resources within our school and community much more well known for the student body. Though our alliance formed pretty late into this school year, we were super lucky to gain widespread support from the community. Because of the support, we were able to complete a few fundraisers, like selling our mental health themed bracelets and working with Ashley's Ice Cream to create some mental health themed ice cream flavors. We've also been able to place stickers in many of the Guilford High School bathroom stalls. On these stickers are numbers of various helplines. Students can call these helplines if they feel like they need more mental health resources or if they're in a mental health crisis and need support. Finally, we've been able to make resources more readily known for students by creating an Instagram page talking about resources and also creating a page connected to the Guilford High School website with many mental health resources relating to the school and just in our Guilford community in general. The GHS Mental Health Alliance is so excited for next year because we'll be able to plan many more events involving the community, like working with different sports teams, clubs, or people to be able to destigmatize mental health and start the conversations that need to be had. We'll also be able to have in-person meetings, which we're so excited for because we're so tired of Zoom and we're super excited to meet you all and get to know each other better. We'll also be able to engage in more stress relieving activities, like possibly making stress balls or doing a meditation. Meetings might also look like student-led discussions and learning about a different mental illness. As the school year comes to an end and the seniors are graduating, we want you all to be aware of mental health resources that are in our community, even when school is not in session. One major mental health resource we have in Guilford is the Women and Family Life Center, who have licensed counselors and people who can help you find the mental health resources that you need. Another resource for students can be found on the GHS website. Under the Students and Parents tab is a folder called Mental Health Awareness Resources. Here you can find lots of information and links to online resources for mental health help. Thank you all so much for listening to our presentation. We hope you have an amazing summer and stop by some of our meetings next year.
Oh, we're done.
Hi, everyone.
Whoops. Oh, so that's the end. That's just a little introduction of the Alliance. Anyone else has any questions about the Alliance or what we're doing, what we've done? Feel free to let us know.
So let's just kind of open it up a discussion. We have 21 people in the Zoom room. I know that we have some classes that are listening in as well from the teachers that are here. So kind of a segue from Beesley's presentation for those of you who are able to listen into the Happiness Project and now from the Mental Health Alliance Committee. Let's start with what are some ways, and you could put your answers in the chat or you can take yourself off of mute and share, but what are some ways throughout the pandemic that you have found to help kind of boost your mood, de-stress, and kind of thinking about more so before the weather started to get nice? Because I think some things that we start to do is when the weather starts to get nice, we get to get outside. So we're going to talk a little bit about kind of summer things to do, but let's first start with what we've done right now and in terms of in the last few months to kind of boost our mood. And again, you can put that in the chat or you can raise your hand in the Zoom room. So someone put music on or play music, and another one listening to music. Connect with friends. Some people have put that they picked up new hobbies and spent a lot of time with family. For the person that put hobbies in, can you share what hobbies you've picked up? And someone put exercising, fitness and diet. And I think almost all of these you can actually potentially do at the same time. So you can be doing fitness, you can be listening to music, you can be being with friends. A lot of times students and people will say that they've exercised with friends, like group fitness or even Zoom fitness. Dieting is another one. So kind of wellness within your body that kind of plays into the exercise too. So movement. Hanging out with dogs. So if you guys have animals, could be dogs, could be cats, it could just be going to a zoo. Baking is another one. Awesome. Any other things that people have tried to do? Eating more whole foods. Yeah, and I think Beesley actually said that in her presentation. Her focus was on what you put into your body. And she said specifically fruit. And this might sound kind of corny, but I was thinking to myself, if you put something in that actually grows, it can help you in your own growth. So what you put in your body, they say you are what you eat, absolutely can make a difference.
I just want to clarify, I did not mean to diet. I meant a diet of eating whole grains, whole foods, healthy foods, not actually dieting. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. But dieting's not a bad thing either. I think a lot of us have tried to change what they eat and what they put in their body. Inspiring podcasts, books on tape. Yeah, I think there's a lot of those out there on wellness and self-help books. I mean, I've noticed even going into like some of the Marshalls or Target, there's so much focus on wellness, like even some of the little quotes and some of the books. There's a huge focus on wellness right now. If you just take a shopping day and maybe think about not buying clothes, but buying things to kind of help with the wellness. Absolutely. Anything else? Okay. Awesome. Okay, and then let's kind of transition over to future planning. So plans for the summer, plans for going into thinking about next year. What are some things that people plan to do outside to help with wellness and feeling and stress? So you can again put that in the chat, or you can come off of mute and share. So some things that you plan to do outdoors to help with stress, wellness, feelings. And for teachers that are Zooming in, feel free to ask their class, and you can put it in the chat, or you can share out loud. So some people said walks and picnics on the green, the beach. Someone else said going for walks and hike and going kayaking. And I would encourage you to write these down, because I know for me, I kind of think about it and I put it away and then I forget about it. So I would encourage you to kind of jot some of these things down as you're thinking about them and you're seeing them in the chat, to remind yourself to kind of go back and look at these things and consider doing these things. Maybe even starting with today when you get out of school, maybe going and taking a walk. I mean, kayaking and hiking and camping and stuff, it's not something you could do today, but it's something that we can plan for. But even just simply going for a little walk, I know a lot of you take mask breaks with your teachers. I would encourage you to make the most of that, kind of breathe in the fresh air, look at the sunshine. It's a nice day out. Awesome. Great. Okay. And I think we might have one more presentation here to share that we just got in our email. So give me 1 second. I'm going to try to get that set up for you guys, because I know we have a little bit more time in this period. So give me 1 second and keep sharing ideas in the chat, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Duggan to close.
So I think a lot of the topic was transitioning to summer, but there's a lot of other transitionings happening. I mean, whether you're going from 11th grade to 12th grade, 9th grade to 10th grade, there's a lot of transitions happening. And then when we're in the school building, we are surrounded by resources in school, whether we access them or not. We have our counselors, we have our teachers, we have maintenance, we have everyone around us. But I think when we go to the summer where we are in somewhere new, what do we do when we don't have those resources so available? I mean, you're in school for 6 hours a day. And so now I think in the summer, it's important to recognize, or at least know, where you guys can access resources within the community. And like the video said, there's Guilford or Women and Family Life. There's also Guilford Youth and Family Services, which is where I work, and we have counselors, we have groups, we have camps, just so you can access people. But there's also online resources where you can chat, and we can send out the resources. I know the school has been working really hard about advertising those, putting them on the website, putting them in the bathrooms, and I think it's important to access and utilize them, because like I said in the beginning, we are so surrounded by them throughout the year, but now in the summer it's important to figure out where you can access them, and community, online, anywhere. It's important to keep those in your back pocket. And those transitions can be challenging, but also if you're prepared for them, then they can do great. And being outside is definitely very helpful, and the summer will be very nice for everyone. And it's been a long year, and I think it'll be nice to wrap everything up.
Thank you, Ms. Duggan. And I think that's important. It's been a tough year, and I think we've had resources available, and I know it's been tough in terms of us being home and being in school and a little bit of both. But just to remember your resources, and just because we close out the school year next week doesn't mean that resources aren't available to you. Ms. Duggan is living proof of that through Guilford Youth and Family Services. And I also just want to share my screen and share what Abby was telling us about in terms of mental health resources. So if you go to the Guilford High School website and you click on mental health awareness resources, we have a lot of different links here. I'm going to drop this link in the chat as well for everybody so that you can save it. If you need anything at all, please feel free to access these resources. Don't be a stranger, they're there for a reason. So there's ongoing crisis counseling supports. As you can see on our webpage, 211 is a crisis line that anyone could call if you're in crisis at any time, 24/7. Guilford Youth and Family Services, where Ms. Duggan comes from, there's a slew of resources there through different counselors and social workers. The Bring Change to Mind, that was part of Abby's presentation, that's another resource. And then these are students' emotional guides. So if you're feeling anxious, there's a thing to try there, a vision board, depressed, scared, tired, stressed. Sometimes you could be feeling a little bit of everything. And sometimes happiness is part of those feelings too. And it could be a little confusing when you're feeling both. But these are just different links and resources to try. So please take a look at this. Don't be afraid to access the support. That's why they're there. And then these are some hobbies which really relate to some of the ideas that came up in the chat. So learning to bake, learning to knit, yoga, there's a little video to watch there, fitness routine, gratitude journal. So try all of those things. And spread awareness too, because I think, there's a stigma sometimes with mental health and we're afraid to talk about it, but the likelihood of someone else feeling what you're feeling is probably pretty common, and we can really bring to mind these things that can help. So we apologize in the different topic today. I know that the focus was on social media. It is really important to talk about social media. I think like Beesley said, sometimes taking a break from that is good. I know that students and even adults have told me just taking it off their phone doesn't mean that you have to delete your account completely, but just eliminating it from that little app that is so easy to click on. Sometimes removing that can help. And then you can go on when you get on your computer or your laptop, trying to sort of disengage from that at times is helpful. And then the other thing that I have found to be helpful too is the way that your feed is on social media. So bringing more focus on positivity. I've found that Instagram has a ton of positive sites and positive people to follow. So even if you just type in positive or mental health, you might find some really good ways to sort of change your feed and make it more positive. So social media is not for everyone, but there is positivity to it as well. So I just encourage you to kind of think about how you're using it and obviously being aware of that too, and finding ways to bring positivity into it. Is there any questions from the audience? Any comments? Okay. All right, well, we thank you very much for participating.